All right. Omer, good to go? Okay, fantastic. Akbar, you want to start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so welcome back to the Mentor Agile Career Hotline. I have my host with me, Nabil Khan. And today on our call, we have someone I'm very excited to talk to, Mr. Saban. Saban, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well. So Subhan is actually in the process of joining our upcoming cohort that we have starting very early November. So Subhan, I just wanted to jump right into some things. I know you have an IT background. You're familiar with IT to a certain degree in a certain capacity, but not so much so in the functional aspect. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. You want to just walk through like what you've been up to, what you've done, and what you went to school for?
Sure. So I graduated from Purdue last year with a systems engineering degree. And right after graduation, I jumped into automation building. So I took that system building knowledge and started applying it to information systems that I can automate. One of the most recent projects that I've been working on is automating the intake for a chiropractor. So I built a voice agent using N8N and VAPI to make appointments for them autonomously and also give users information about the clinic, the types of services they have, the doctors that are present, and sometimes even insurance benefits.
Nice. That's interesting. So I guess for our viewers, so you being someone that has that level of technical skill, most people I would say don't have that level of technical skill when coming into a product owner or product management role. However, increasingly, we are starting to find individuals from the engineering team making their way over, right? Like the last guest that we had on was talking about how their company experienced mass layoffs that was unprecedented for their company's history. However, when it came to product roles, product owner, product manager roles, rather than laying off, they were actually actively hiring more people as they were laying off engineers. So we're definitely starting to see a lot more, people that are interested, that are fresh, that have never been in IT. We're also starting to see individuals like yourself and the last guest that we had on that are actually a part of the engineering team themselves that's actually transitioning over to a product role. And one thing that I had mentioned, and I want to reiterate here as well, is sometimes people will put themselves in a bucket that I am X or I am Y, not realizing that, if you were to build proficiencies, like, you're not only an engineer, but you're also a product person, you have both X, Y, and Z all under your belt. That's when you start to get to executive level leadership. Like the CTO of the company that I was at, Healthcare Interoperability Company, he was a phenomenal engineer for most of his life, but I've never met someone with better product sense than him. In my entire career, I have never met someone with more product sense than the CTO of that previous company that I was in. So that's the beauty of, like, when you start to layer skill sets upon each other, you start to take your career to a whole nother path, a whole nother situation. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like what kind of inspired you to be more interested in product or pursuing a certification or a degree like this?
Well, first of all, I could not agree more. I think in this time and age, it's all about skilling up. The more you learn and the faster you learn seems to be what sets you apart from everyone else. When I graduated college, that's one of the first things that came to my head was to not go into a position that's going to lock my learning and my abilities to a specific job role, especially in a job market that's changing so rapidly. So I took the time to figure things out on my own instead of going right into the job market in this economy. I just thought it would be better if I figured out what skills are needed by businesses right now. It's true that I did have the technical exposure from an industrial engineering systems engineering background, but I wasn't familiar with software as much as I am now at all. The only thing that I think the engineering degree helped me with was breaking down a problem and designing a solution.
Mhm.
But it's actually doing the work and learning the skills that these businesses need that's been 90% of my skills so far, not the degree. And I don't even think you need a technical background to learn these skills. It's very no code. You don't need to have any sort of familiarity with any programming language. It's a visual interface for the most part,
Yep.
and it's all about designing a solution for a problem that exists out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Akbar, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on, man. What I've seen specifically in this career. So I am not technical, right? I would not consider myself to be a technical person. I'm very functional. I've done a lot of consulting. I'm very business focused, business facing as a product manager, right? But the people that I have seen and that I have always been a little bit jealous of have been the technical product managers, right? The guys that can speak the lingo with the dev teams, the guys that can kind of go into the code base themselves and kind of take a look at what's going on. They can understand their product inside and out. I don't think you need to be technical to be successful, but I absolutely do think having that capability, having that knowledge base will always benefit you, especially in this field, right?
Yeah, no, I
And it
agree with
really
that.
isn't as difficult as it seems.
Right. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. And I would say that the inspiration that I had to go into product is in many ways I feel like somewhat similar to your situations upon where I was an entrepreneur before working corporate, right? And as an entrepreneur, I was there's different types of entrepreneurs. I was always more so focused on the product more so than the sales aspect of it, perhaps, or other aspects that there may be. But I realized that a lot of the product sense or a lot of the concepts that I was figuring out was all through trial and error, like my own trials and my own errors. That when you're not a venture-backed project, like I had my own money on the line that I was using or utilizing in order to grow my business, completely grassroots, like it's called bootstrapping, right? Those lessons are extremely costly, right? Then I realized that, hey, there's an entire science, which is product, right? There's tried and tested methodologies. There are books that are written on the subject. There's subject matter experts. There's industry leaders that you can benefit from, where if you were to learn that skill set, then you would be starting off on the shoulders of giants, and you'd start your experimenting, your iteration, your trials and errors, not from zero, but rather already from the industry standard and taking it to the next level. So that's kind of what inspired me originally to start learning about product and trying to build good product sense and what goes into all of that. So yeah, so I definitely think it's going to be a beneficial journey for you without a shadow of a doubt.
I'm very excited about this program because product ownership seems to be the bridge between market and service. Taking what a market needs and then actually developing the system to fix it or to solve the problem. I'd
Exactly.
like to know more about it. I don't think I have a thorough understanding of what product ownership is and what product management is.
You want to take it, Akbar? Would you like me to?
Why don't you give him your input and I'll jump in.
Okay, fair enough. Sure thing. So, when we say POPM, like for example, there's even a certification that's by Scaled Agile that's called a POPM certification. A lot of times in the industry, you'll hear the term POPM. Now, PO is product owner, PM is product manager. Okay. Now, when it comes to product owner and product manager, though there are oftentimes in job descriptions, there's a lot of overlap. In the traditional sense, a product owner is typically going to be a bit more insular, especially if you're talking about a safe environment. Now, what do I mean by safe environment? Safe is an acronym SAFE. It stands for Scaled Agile. It's a methodology, or it's a framework, right? It's a framework of how to apply the agile methodology in a context in which you're running a large enterprise, right? You have hundreds of employees. You're not talking about 3 or 4 teams. You're talking about tens and tens of teams that have to work in orchestration in order for a product to be delivered, right? This is enterprise level, right? In that level, when you talk about a product owner, it's usually a bit more insular in the sense that there's already initiatives that the business has, right? And a product manager has already worked with stakeholders in the business to understand the industry and vet through different concepts. So you're getting the initiative. That initiative now needs to be refined further with the specific requirements. What are the functional requirements? What are the non-functional requirements? Breaking those into user stories. You'll oftentimes be coupled with a systems architect, right? Just like how if you're building a building, you would have an architect that makes a blueprint. Similarly, when you're working on enterprise-grade software, you're going to have a specialist that's known as a systems architect that's putting together the blueprint and the architecture. It's not going into the nitty-gritty of the exact implementation as to how the software will be built, but it's giving an overall understanding of what connects to what, how things transfer, how data is going to go from one place to another, those types of blueprints and architectural diagrams, right? Now, when you
This is
have
the.
that, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go on. I want you to continue.
So when you have that highly technical diagram, you are then able to break it down into user stories, little pieces of actionable working code that, when coupled together, right, can equal a release. Okay, so these are things that they're not just theories, they're not just concepts. It's not, hey, make this a little bit better. There are specific instructions that when the developer does that story, a stakeholder can actually demo it. It can be demoed or demonstrated that, hey, this is something that's actually working, right? It's the product owner that's going from the architectural diagram and breaking it into these user stories that are then going to be implemented by the dev team. Now, the beauty of it is this. If there's someone that's hearing us talk about all this, they might feel a bit overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, I thought you don't have to be so technical. Like, why? This sounds very technical. But here's the cool thing about it. Here's the beauty of it, right? A product owner is not an engineer, and a product owner is never expected to be an engineer, okay? If a product owner starts getting too technical and talking about how things need to be done, that's a big red flag. That's called an anti-pattern. That's something that should be avoided, because a product owner is not the engineering expert. Let the expert be the expert, right? What you are saying is the what and the why. You're simply saying the what and the why. The how is not up to you. The how is up to the engineering team. So surprisingly, it's actually a lot simpler than it seems when you're first hearing it. Because remember, as viewers, when you're hearing terms for the first time, it feels overwhelming. What you realize quickly is, first of all, there's only a few terms. There's only a handful of terms. And it's those same terms that you use every time. A backlog, user story. It's not complicated at all. On top of that, now that we're certifying our product owners with the 2 AI certifications, AI for product owners and AI essentials, that's prompting essentials. That means that on day 1, you've never been a product owner before in your life, but on day 1 of your job, when you are doing the work, you are already going to be doing